All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to InMarket's webinar focusing on the breakthrough moments from the first half of 2020. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take this deep dive with us and learn some more about our most successful campaigns from the past 6 months. So we're really excited to take this deeper look into what made some of our most successful campaigns possible in the first half of this wild and crazy year, to put it very mildly. First, my name is Joe Intile. I'm the creative director at InMarket, and it's my pleasure to introduce our two wonderful panelists from PowerCord, the agency of record for Steel, which had the top performing breakthrough moment campaign of the four we'll be focusing on today. First, we have Nikki Vajensky, who is the SVP of Marketing and Strategy, and also Courtney Parker, who is the Senior Account Manager Lead. Both of these two have been super instrumental across all stages of the campaign process, from creative brainstorming to implementation and delivery. And I think it's safe to say that this campaign would not have turned out the same without both of their vision and involvement along every step of the process. So Nikki and Courtney, thank you so much for joining the conversation today and sharing your insights with all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So today we're going to be taking a look at what the key components of a breakthrough moment and campaign are, from timing and delivery to the creative execution itself. And we'll also get to hear from both Nikki and Courtney on their strategy and process for creating their Breakthrough Moments campaign. So first, for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with InMarket and what we do, I'm just going to provide a little bit of background before we get started. InMarket is the leader in 360-degree consumer intelligence and real-time activation. We always use always-on 100% first-party location data to provide the most accurate and precise targeting, engaging consumers anytime and anywhere, giving advertisers a real-time opportunity to really engage consumers when they're most receptive in the moments that matter most. And our 360-degree consumer intelligence allows us to measure campaign success with actionable and strategic insights to power smarter future campaigns and also increase the returns that our clients love to see. So before we dive in, a little bit about our selection process and how we go about choosing our top performing campaigns. So we start out looking at more than the 400 campaigns InMarket ran in the first half of 2020. We then break these down by vertical market, encompassing everything from CPG and grocery to healthcare, retail, and auto. From here, we then take the top performing campaigns in terms of engagement, more specifically their click-through rate. So in terms of the benchmark click-through rates we're comparing against here, we use these three industry standards of Google Search, which has a CTR of 4.1%, Epsilon Email, which is anywhere between 2.9 and 3.8, and then Google's own mobile benchmark of 0.6%. So all of our breakthrough moments that we're focusing on today surpassed all these benchmarks, including Google Search, which is a pretty remarkable feat, I think, and a testament to both the brand's vision and also the creative execution and delivery of these campaigns. Then finally, in our selection process, we take a look at the creatives themselves. It's not really going to be enough to just have a relevant ad shown to the consumer along their path to purchase. In my experience as creative lead, it's if the creative isn't engaging or if it just looks bland, people aren't really going to engage with it. So our final layer in the selection process picks out the best looking, most engaging ads from a creative perspective, whether they used any interactivity or animation, or if it was simply a beautiful looking static image that stood out of the crowd. So all of this makes up what we like to refer to as the perfect anatomy of a breakthrough moment. When we're able to combine relevant information and offers, precise delivery and timing, and engaging creativity all in tandem, we see amazing results like the four examples we're going to explore today. So with that in mind, we created this Breakthrough Moments initiative. Now, as we all know, media consumption is cluttered more than ever these days. The average American is exposed to around 4,000 to 10,000 ads every single day. And with so much competition in the advertising space, brands only have really a few split seconds of a consumer's attention to stand out and really establish a meaningful connection. So as a result, a significant amount of advertising and brand messaging is ignored, unless the audience is personally invested for some reason. So for over a decade, InMarket has been dedicated to providing solutions for performance-driven brands and agencies to break through the white noise of media clutter and drive real value. In particular, InMarket's Moments ad unit, which we're going to take a deeper look into today, is valuable and unique in that it combines Timing, relevance, and context to elevate brands and power real-time, full-screen, impactful campaigns that perform over 6.5 times above the average industry benchmark. Now, Forrester Research defines a mobile moment as a point in time and space when people pull out a mobile device to get what they want in their immediate context. So with that in mind, we are now taking this opportunity to recognize the first half of 2020's Breakthrough Moments campaigns and shine a light on how best to create lasting and powerful moments with your own advertising initiatives. Now, as we're all well aware by this time, the first half of the year has been anything but normal. I think it's important to briefly mention the context in which these moments and campaigns broke through the clutter and achieved their individual successes. As we witnessed with the COVID-19 pandemic spreading across the US, consumers began stockpiling essentials, things like canned goods, pasta, frozen food, paper goods, and more. And by April 7th, over 95% of the country was under some form of stay-at-home order, and Americans began adjusting to a new sense of what was normal. Purchase data collected from InMarket's credit card, debit card, and scanned receipt data showed strong purchases for indoor and outdoor activities. These purchases focused on things like the household, ranging from cleaning products to gardening and DIY activities. Also rapidly on the rise were streaming services, exercise equipment, food delivery, and alcohol purchases as Americans looked to keep fit and entertained while enjoying a meal at home or from one of their favorite local restaurants. So while the first half of 2020 was certainly an unprecedented time in our history, the impact of the events surrounding COVID-19 helped propel and perhaps enhance the performance of these Breakthrough Moments winners. All of our winners are also focused their messaging to support consumers during a time when they needed it most, especially during a time when a lot of advertisers were pulling back advertising efforts. These brands doubled down, stayed present for their consumers, and in turn saw amazing results. Now, before we turn over to our panelists from PowerCord, I'd like to explore our other three top performers from the first half of this year. So first up, we have Contadina. Now, this campaign ran during a time when consumers were looking for long shelf life items to last them through the COVID-19 pandemic. Contadina met high demand by offering savings via a digital coupon to cut some of the cost of bulk purchasing while featuring 3 quality canned tomato products. Combining an in-demand product with impeccable timing, the brand used InMarket's in-store moments to deliver contextual messaging to consumers as they walked into Price Chopper stores. Now, visually, any creative can showcase a product on a shelf or a table and just call it good at that. However, this one looked like a true work of art, in my opinion. The creative execution, combined with the unique headline, a brand familiar font, and ripe tomatoes enhanced the Contadina brand to look like a page out of a cookbook. So finally, the green call to action called attention to the savings while not straying from their standard red and green brand palette, resulting in high engagement and a breakthrough performance. And the result was a 10.42% click-through rate, over 17 times above the industry benchmark. And now next up is the Fresh Market. So Easter this year was a bit tricky as supply chains were interrupted and some grocery stores ran out of core staples. So with this in mind, the Fresh Market featured a convenient online for delivery meal deal to make feeding the family hassle-free. The brand used this popular spring holiday to connect with consumers looking for a value-priced meal with 5-star taste across the apps those users trust and used regularly. So from a design and execution perspective, the creative packed a lot of great information in a simple but still inviting manner that wasn't overwhelming at all. The bright and engaging lifestyle shot was relatable, but still aspirational at the same time. Many of us were looking to create a memorable moment at home with the family. And all of this came together to produce the 9.71% CTR and the 16.18 times over the industry standard rate that you see here. And now third, take a look at Jameson with a campaign that was timed around St. Patrick's Day. Now, St. Patrick's Day and whiskey are basically synonymous with each other. And with the consumer safety in mind, Jameson used this popular holiday to help consumers bring the celebration to their homes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Encouraging people to stock up for St. Patrick's Day and bring the bar home, Jameson delivered messaging to targeted audiences from ages 21 to 54, offering Jameson as a premier choice, while still reminding the customers to taste responsibly. So from a creative perspective, the clean visual showcased all the different and possibly some lesser known varieties of Jameson against its classic green background color, tying in both St. Patrick's Day and its Irish heritage as well. There was nothing cluttered in this moment, in my opinion, just four simple words, the products, and a CTA that reminded potential buyers that Jameson is the best choice. So this all came together to result in a very impressive click-through rate of 4.57%, which is over 7.5 times the benchmark. And now let's move on and take a look at Steele's breakthrough moment, which ran a campaign with, as you can see here, an unbelievable 18.17% click-through rate, over 30 times the industry benchmark. So as I mentioned before, Steele's creative was the highest performing campaign of the first half of the year. And again, I don't think I would contribute that to any one factor individually, but a multitude of elements that were executed perfectly at the right time, aligning this creative perfectly with the anatomy of a breakthrough moment I just mentioned earlier. So right off the bat, Steele was faced with a challenge. They needed to stand out in a sea of competitors eager to catch the attention of all the lawn care and gardening enthusiasts who were coming out of the woodwork to keep themselves busy during the stay-at-home orders. So they did this by targeting DIYers and frequent outdoor and hardware shoppers who live close to authorized Steele retailers, and they were then able to engage with their ideal consumers at the ideal time. So this creative features a lot of elements, as you can see, that went into its success, including a nearby store locator up at the top left that shows the closest retailer where a shopper could find Steele products. This was a crucial element, as Steele products aren't available at just any big box home improvement store, and often tend to be sold at smaller mom and pop shops. So clicking on this link took the user directly to their local retailer's website where they could continue shopping. And next, a headline talking about the power to create a magical getaway, I think speaks directly to the feeling we're all probably having in our homes at this point in time during the pandemic. People wanted a real sense of comfort in their homes as we're all spending much more time stuck around our houses and in our backyards, considering ways to improve our outdoor spaces. So when the See the Savings CTA is clicked on, you're then taken to a swipeable gallery, as you see here, showcasing a $40 savings on homeowner batteries for Steele's battery-powered tools. The Save on Battery CTA from these frames leads directly to a Backyard Getaways page on Steele's website with some similar branding and imagery. And this clean transition between the brand moment and the final landing page gave the entire experience a real sense of cohesion, that everything was done with a purpose. So now, beyond the amazing results we see here, this campaign taught us the power of reaching people where they are, and not just geographically. I think a key factor in the success of this campaign was the messaging to create a magical getaway. Who, especially at this point in time, wouldn't want that? And the aspirational image of a backyard oasis on a summer night is something that any DIYer, I think, would find attractive. So now that we've thoroughly explored these four great examples of breakthrough moments, I'd like to invite Nikki and Courtney from PowerPort to give us their perspective on why this Steele campaign was such a huge success. So Nikki and Courtney, thank you again both so much in advance for the insight you're going to be providing us with today.
Absolutely, we're happy to be here. And I think you did a great job of giving a nice overview on the momentum and the success we had from this campaign. So thank you.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, it was a really fun campaign to work on. We were really excited to see the great results that it had. So first off, you've run campaigns within Market in the past, but this one was a little different given the unusual time we were all living through. So I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit more about your approach to this campaign in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic and what you did differently to bring this idea together to best engage with people who are stuck at home. So in other words, did you approach this creative build differently from others in the past, or did you maybe stick with a formula that had worked well before?
Sure. So I think that answer is multifaceted. So what was really unique and exciting about this campaign is that we've actually run omni-channel digital marketing strategies for Steele and their thousands of local retailers for many years. But what Moments allowed us to do, and in the midst of COVID, is we had the opportunity to actually touch and communicate with that person in store. So in a very highly important and relevant moment, we were able to wake up their phone with an important message that we had to say. So, you know, what you were alluding to earlier with the creative, that was very intentional. We wanted to make sure we were using a very focused message, that we were delivering something that would be meaningful to that customer, as we know they've now made it inside a local retailer. So, you mentioned COVID, and I don't think anybody on this call is unfamiliar with the term COVID-19. When we ran this campaign in March and April, Steel's retailers were deemed essential businesses. So when Moments came about, that gave us that last leg to stand on when a customer goes in store, to hit them with Steel's targeted messaging and make sure that that customer was aware of Steel products, the offer and the promotional offer that they had promoting their Steel battery products in particular once they were in store. And that was a huge win for us, a win for the retailers, a win for the customer with that personalized message. So we were really, really proud of that moment. And we thought that was a great extension to the other digital marketing activities that we run for Steel and their local dealers.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like you said, I think the messaging really hit the nail on the head, really engaged people, kind of gave them something to think about. I know if I was walking through a store, I saw something like that, like, yeah, I want that in my backyard. That looks great. So could you maybe tell us a bit more about the targeting and content strategies you put into action with this campaign, and maybe how those choices might have informed decisions on things like the messaging and the call to action?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of as Nikki alluded to, this was our first time working with a breakthrough moment and really targeting that customer as they walk in store. So something that was really important for us when we were talking about our creative content strategy is it's a little bit different than what we're used to digitally. So these customers are actually already physically in store. We have already gotten them that far. So what was really important was we really needed to tailor the content to be relevant to their experience in store. So what was a big consideration is if I'm walking in store and I have the option to choose Steel or any of my other competitors, how can Steel stay at the forefront of the customer's mind? And I think we all know promos and deals. So what we did is we actually scheduled this campaign around a large battery promo, as Nikki mentioned earlier, and the message was save on Steel. So with that, it was very important to have a consistent, cohesive message from the moment that they walk in store to when they're viewing the promo and going onto the dealer site.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So from your perspective, how exactly did you evaluate the success of this campaign, aside from things like the large click-through rates that we saw?
So obviously we were very impressed with the engagement numbers. So that's always exciting to us. And one of the values that InMarket brings, on that side is that you guys actually offer a cost per engagement pricing model. That was very enticing to us. So to be able to actually measure success based on engagement. So that tells us you guys really stand behind your technology and your abilities. So meaning if we're going to put our message out there and we're going to hope to reach the right customers, that you guys are going to, give back to us and then allow us to make sure we're only paying for those really targeted customers. And second, you guys came to us with that first party research you were mentioning earlier, the SDK verified research from ComScore and the audiences, and you told us precisely exactly who our core audiences were, who we could decide to really tailor our messages to, what their shopping behaviors were, how often they were visiting our local Steel retailers versus like big box locations. So we were very informed. So I know, typically we focus on things like vanity metrics of click-through rates, which are great, but I love all the behind the scenes technology and the power that went into really focusing and narrowing in on those right audiences. Because we were able to do that and leverage that data and that information and intelligence from your team, I think that really played into why our click-through rates were so strong, because we were going after the right audiences for Steel. And for us, that's really important because the way we work with Steel and their thousands of dealers across the nation, every dollar counts. They're putting in their hard-earned money to make sure you're helping them drive traffic and sales opportunities back to them. So the more that we can make sure that every single dollar does count and we can make it the most meaningful that it can be, the better off we all are.
Absolutely, that makes total sense. So now, can we maybe talk a little bit about how the creative itself came together on your end? I know from my perspective on the design side at InMarket, building these has always been a really smooth process with a lot of collaboration on creative build and execution. So can you tell us a little bit more about what goes into putting a creative like this together from your side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So this campaign specifically was very unique, not only because it was the first time sending a message to a customer as they walked into a Steel dealership, but we were also faced with the COVID-19 pandemic. As again, I'm sure everybody's familiar with that word. So we had two things that we were faced with, two challenges. And what we did is we work internally with Steel's creative agency, Red Letter Communications, and we worked on the call to action, the creative messaging. So again, what is the right creative message? And not only the time of a pandemic, but also when these customers are walking in store. So worked internally a lot on the right call to action, the timing, as you mentioned earlier with the Jameson. Nothing makes more sense than pushing whiskey at the time of St. Patrick's Day. So we were doing the same thing with our battery products and our spring time frame that we had in front of us. So working internally with our teams, our execution team, our Red Letter Communications team, and then also working with you guys to really make this campaign come to life.
Yeah, and I can say it's just been an absolute pleasure working with both of your agencies at putting these together. I know there's a lot that goes into these, and it's an involved, intricate thing, but it always turns out amazingly well. So that's a real testament to the work that you do on your end and that they do as well. So now diving a little bit deeper into the creative itself, have you gleaned any insights or metrics from the elements in use here? For example, have you seen maybe higher engagement with the swipeable products gallery, or has the animation helped retain people's attention where maybe a more static image might lose them right out of the gate?
100%. So I think that we all know in this day and age, you have a very short time frame to capture the audience's attention. So with our initial card being that GIF animation, so more animation catches the customer's eye, we have actually seen 3 times more engagement when we use these GIF animated cards when compared to the static cards. So once we started with animated, we really haven't looked back with our creative style. And then as far as the carousel goes, so the carousels are really cool and exciting because they give us the opportunity to explore and present more promotions than just one. So Steel had multiple battery promotions going on during this time frame. So the carousel allowed us to have all of those promotions in one ad unit. And then also further from that, each promotion, each card was actually able to link to the relevant landing page on the dealer site to that promotion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a creative person myself, I love hearing that the animation goes over well. I mean, well, happy to build static images all day long, but it's always enjoyable when you get to build something a little more involved like this. So it's great to hear that pays out and it affects impact in a positive way. So I know Steel products are mainly sold in smaller, more local hardware and home improvement type stores, forgoing some of the larger big box retailers. How important has the nearby store locator element at the top left of the creative been in driving traffic to stores where Steel products are sold?
So I would say this is mission critical. So I mentioned this a couple of times, but how we represent Steel, it's not just the Steel brand that we represent, it really is all of those multi-location retailers. So having the ability to customize and personalize that ad, and to your point, the fact that they are not sold in big box, they are sold through local businesses, that's imperative. So, there was actually 2 parts to this campaign. The Moments was exceptional, but secondary to that, we had a rich media advertising component where we used really sophisticated targeting to reach homeowners with a yard, household income, and some of the key targeting parameters that you make available to us. But pairing that together and then putting the dealer's name at the top, make sure that that customer understands where they can buy Steel. The last thing we want is to actually push out the Steel message and confuse customers thinking they could go into Lowe's and Home Depot where they can't. We want them to immediately resonate with that local dealer name, walk into that store, engage with them online, whatever the case may be. So to be able to localize and personalize the ad on behalf of all of those retailers is a must-have for us. And without that component, I do not think this campaign would have been as successful as it was for us.
Absolutely, yeah, makes total sense to me. I know during a time when consumers are under stay-at-home orders, like you said, Steel products only being available at these, mom and pop hardware locations, not the bigger retailers. I think that definitely affects things. Do you think maybe the aspect of supporting a local business during the pandemic instead of a big box store like Home Depot or Lowe's played a role in the success of the campaign at all?
Oh, absolutely. So I'll be very honest, when the pandemic first hit, and it was actually pretty much at the launch of this campaign, we didn't know what to expect, but I remember having conversations with our client and with Steel, and once the hardware stores were deemed essential businesses and they were open for business, our clients, said to us, this is the time that we need to support our dealers more than ever. So this was really just a great opportunity for us to keep Steel at the forefront of our customers' minds. As you mentioned, they are staying at home, so they have the opportunity for these projects. So this was the perfect combination of continuing to support the dealer, if not supporting them more than ever, as well as these customers wanting to stay at home and continue to work on their house and work on these home projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So any other learnings or gleanings that you took away from this effort that maybe are learnings you'd apply to a next campaign?
I think the most important, I mean, at least one of the most important learnings that we had is just to always be intentional. You know, you talked to this earlier, Joe, but I think it's important to share because the more intentional and focused we were at rounding out the entire journey, right? This played into an overarching omni-channel approach that we had for Steel. And like I said before, it fulfilled that last step. So to be very intentional with what our message was, when that message was going to come into play, and how we carried out that journey from that step was really critical, right? I mean, it's hard to get a customer's attention today. So if you're going to have them swipe open a message on their phone, you need to make sure you're delivering them something of value. And I think that was the big learning for us. It's no longer just a spray and play when it comes to advertising the online space, right? You can go with many vendors, you can run different tactics, you can run in different channels, but if you're not very intentional and focused with the journey you're trying to take that customer on and hitting them at all those different touch points, I think you miss the mark in today's world. And I think customers have high expectations of the element of personalization and that whole relational aspect of advertising. You spoke to it earlier again about like the static display ads. I mean, I think that's just a world behind us now. People have different expectations. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways is just to really be intentional with what you're doing in that customer journey that you're establishing.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. I think that intentionality and just that sense of connecting with the consumer is even more important now than ever. I think people it's kind of a given now. People just expect that. So if you're not meeting them there, you might be falling short. So for a minute, I'd like to talk about some omni-channel strategies. Obviously, with so many people opting to either limit their time out and about, shopping in stores, or to avoid them altogether during the pandemic, an omni-channel strategy is going to be an important thing to think about. Now, a moment doesn't necessarily have to be served in-app or in a store. So have you maybe thought of any ways to reach consumers at home and across other devices, whether it's a laptop, a tablet, or even on their connected TV?
Yeah, 100%. So I think us as marketers, we all know that every moment matters in the customer shopping journey. So really this breakthrough moment was a last step moment as the customer is walking in store. So this paired with our paid search, remarketing, and video activities really helped to drive that customer in store. So the time that they're walking in there, we would hope that this is not the first time that they've heard of Steel, that we have already established that Steel brand recognition with our customers.
Yeah, for sure. So with the success of this highly engaging campaign and other similar campaigns, what are maybe some ways you're looking to take creatives to the next level? So for example, some new interactive moments we've been working on over at InMarket include things like 3D photos and some predictive elements. For example, a creative that might display different imagery and messaging depending on the weather or a user's location. Are maybe any of these ideas you feel would be worth pursuing for future creatives, or have you already begun to think about new ways to engage with consumers even on a deeper level for the next campaign?
So first, tell us more. We always love to, make sure that we continue evolving, the strategies that we put in place. And that's why you guys truly have been an amazing partner, for many years now. So when you start talking, especially for Steel, the ability to target from a seasonal messaging standpoint, leveraging weather. I mean, they are a seasonally driven brand, right? So what's going on, down in the South might be different from the North and out West. And to be able to play into weather factors and reach customers, during those moments of when the sun is shining, time to get out in your yard, go visit your Steel dealer. I mean, those are meaningful moments, again, back to that personalization factor. So I would love to do more of that. I know you mentioned sports. We know that that's a big target audience, for many brands, but for Steel specifically. We know they have, affinities to MLB and NFL and basketball and whatnot. So I know we've talked about some different strategies with you guys that we're looking to potentially do, but the more focus we can get to, get into our customer and target audience's preferred environments, the better, right? People are at home, they have time on their hands. Hopefully they're still working, which they are. But you know, they're browsing these different apps that I know you guys have the ability to reach people in. So the more that we can leverage the technology and the marketing capabilities that you have, the more we want to insert brands like Steel and their local retailers into those environments. So, you know, we can get new sales opportunities going into their local dealers. So I think wholeheartedly, I mean, we look forward to what's next in working with you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know creative capabilities are just changing every day. So it's always fun for the creative team on our side to, you know, look at those and see how we can innovate, what we can do to bring things to the next level with the next campaign. So that'll be an exciting journey to be on. So finally, as we look at as we look at upcoming holiday seasons, are there any holiday shopping strategies that maybe you're looking to put in place as a result of learnings from this initiative?
Oh, the holidays sound pretty good right about now. After the year that we've had, I'm definitely looking forward to the holidays. So I would say if there's anything that 2020 has taught us, it's to prepare for the unexpected. Not only have we learned a ton about Moments being able to leverage in-markets technology and have this new breakthrough moment, but we've also seen before our eyes the consumer behaviors online continue to evolve. So even more than ever, as consumers are at home, given the pandemic, they're turning to online shopping methods to shop. So I think that that's time to get prepared for that. You know, maybe we start preparing for an earlier shopping season as people are gearing up for that a little bit early, given the fact that they are at home. So while I won't give away Steel's secret sauce, I will say that you can definitely expect to see some of in-market strategies and moments in our holiday campaigns.
That's great. Well, we look forward to working on that as well. Well, again, thank you both so much. It's been really amazing to hear from your perspective the learnings you've taken away from this success and how you plan to use some of those strategies moving forward. So thank you again for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, well, before we close out, I'd like to open up the discussion. If anyone in the audience has any questions they want to submit via the chat window here in Zoom, if you have anything you'd like to hear addressed that we didn't already, or if maybe there's something perhaps we didn't delve into with as much detail as you were hoping, please feel free to add that into the chat window now, and we'll be happy to touch on that if you can. And in the meantime, as we wait to see those questions pop in, Nikki and Courtney, any other learnings or ideas you've taken from this that you're taking into future campaigns that we didn't touch on yet, or anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to mention before this is over?
I think just that we're excited for what's to come in the future. I think you guys have provided us with a lot of great data and opportunities that we have been able to take to our client and really develop a winning formula for them, right? So, you know, back to, I don't want to repeat myself, but the word intentional continues to come to mind, and you guys allow us to really focus in and find Steel's target audience and do right by them and their dealers. And our whole goal is to bring awareness to the brand and drive engagement locally. So I look forward to what else you guys are going to bring to us as a great partner. And, just to continue having, fun while doing it and coming up with these engaging customer journeys for our clients. It makes it fun and really worthwhile.
And just to tag on to kind of what Nikki mentioned there, so we have a great partnership with InMarket. You guys have done a really great job at bringing to us new technologies. For us, we're always looking at how can we make the experience, the marketing more personalized, more relevant to that single end user. So you guys have been doing a really great job at doing that. And we just look forward to future technologies as we continue to evolve.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thanks. Well, we enjoy working with you as well. It's been fun to sort of grow our capabilities and the things that we can deliver to customers at the right time. So it'll be a fun journey to be on.
Hey Joe, we do have a couple of questions coming through. The first one is for PowerCord. How has these moment campaigns enabled you to innovate your targeting strategies?
So, I think we touched on it a little bit, but working, InMarket has been able to provide us some data and insights that we never had before. And we, pair that in working with Steel, who's just such a great client and helping us to shape who their core audience is. So while I won't give away specific targeting parameters, I will say that we have the ability to get really honed in and really narrowed in on who those target audiences are and specifically who we want to reach based on, like I said before, shopping behaviors, their habits, previous past purchases based on different time windows and whatnot. So can't give away their trade secrets, but I will tell you, we have a long list that we can pull from to really narrow in on our target audience, which is fantastic with this technology.
Excellent, yeah. I'm seeing one more pop in here. Did your approach on the messaging change from Moments to your other display creatives? And if so, how?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and answer that one. So it definitely did change. So as I mentioned, when the customer is already in store, we're not working necessarily to generate that awareness anymore and generate that product awareness. So that's something that we look more to do in our rich media display strategy. So as we're working to reach these new customers, we're trying to provide them information specific to our products. So while we still like to have a healthy mix of promotional items, but we also want to generate awareness surrounding different types of battery products, gas products, all the great products that Stihl has. So we actually have up to 5 card carousels where we might represent more cards and take them directly to a product details page on that dealer site. So it does differ a little bit when you think about the customer being in store rather just in their moment of discovery or browsing online.
Yeah, makes total sense. Great. Well, let's see. I think those are all the ones I'm seeing come in. Let's see here. One more popped up. For leveraging online to in-store pickup has been a theme during the pandemic. Have Stihl retailers done this, and are they looking to leverage it on campaigns?
Absolutely. So I will go ahead and answer that. So we do have a buy online pickup in store program that is available for our Stihl dealers. So actually it's interestingly enough, as the pandemic started to happen, we started to see more and more dealers adopt this functionality on their sites. We've seen really significant success with online sales. So not is that just something that we're reading about and we're seeing out in the industry that more people are shopping and buying online, but we're actually seeing that with Stihl online sales as well.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. Nice. Well, let's see. Any others coming through? I think that's all I see for now. So I guess with that, we can wrap it up. Well, again, I just want to extend a huge thank you again to both Nikki and Courtney for joining us today, sharing your insights on the success of this really high-performing campaign and just the state of the industry in general as we all continue to navigate these really unprecedented times. So thank you both so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And also a big thank you to everyone else listening for joining in today from home. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today. I do think it's always a great idea to learn from success stories like these, especially when things are unpredictable as they are currently, especially in terms of reaching people at just the right moment. Taking cues from benchmark breaking units like these we looked at today, I think is a really valuable tool and potential key to the success of a future campaign. So like we mentioned before, I think you'll be able to be on the lookout for a recorded version of today's webinar, which we'll be sharing shortly. And once again, thank you for spending some time with us today. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.